At least 11 journalists have been charged with terrorism since November 2011. According to a research by CPJ, more than 70 newspapers were forced to close because of government pressure during the 2 decades. Independent TV stations are not yet allowed, with only 2 private FM stations provided license to work. As a result, the question of media plurality seems in controversy.
Even when we compare it with our neighbor Kenya, that they have a lot of media outlets, they have lots of dailies with circulation of 100,000, which you can't put that figure when you put all the newspapers together in Addis. So it's one of the worst situation. The Daily Nation, for example, the daily Kenyan newspaper, of the circulation which is around 100,000. We don't have that figure if you put all the weeklies, all the dailies in Ethiopia, if you have that. We can't have that kind of number here in Ethiopia. For the last 20 years, this time is one of the worst period of freedom of expression.
Especially after the 2005 election, and it's really difficult to get so many magazines and the newspapers in Ethiopian media sphere. And additionally, there are so many charges on the journalists, and journalists are being arrested by the anti-terrorism law, and they are getting convicted for more than 10 years. And taking these things into consideration, I think the situation is deteriorating from time to time. And currently we have only a couple of magazines and newspapers for more than 80 million people.
1% እንኳን ይሆናል ብዬ አላስብም። የዚህን 10 እና 15 እጥፍ እንኳን የሚዲያ ተቋሞች ብትመሰረት ካለን 80 ምናምን ሚሊዮን ለሚሆን ህዝብ በቂ ነው ብዬ አላስብም።
In the broadcast media, television license is not given to any Ethiopian media agency, independent agencies.
Exposing the truth and reporting with integrity, these journalists risk being imprisoned and putting the life of their loved ones on the line.
ጋዜጠኝነት ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ በአሁኑ ሰዓት ዋጋ የሚከፈልበት ሙያ ነው። ለምሳሌ አንድ ወታደር መጀመሪያ ውትድርናውን ሲመርጥም ከነገና ሲገባም የሚያያቸው ሪስኮች አሉ። ምክንያቱም ወይ ሀገር ሊጠብቅ ነው የሚሄደው። ስለዚህ እሱ የሚተኩሳል፣ ከዛ የሚተኩስበታል፣ ሊሞት ይችላል። ያው ዞሮ አደጋ ውስጥ አድርጎ ነው የሚሄደው። በዛ ደረጃ ነው የምታየው። መንግስት መቼ እንደሚያስራ አታውቅም፣ ግን እንደምትታሰር ውስጥ እየገመትክ ነው የምትሄደው። ጋዜጠኝነትን ባጭር ቃል በቃ ፈታኝ የሆነ ዋጋ የሚያስከፍል ሙያ ሆኗል ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ።
The main constraint is the law itself, the new press law, which a lot of people are asking, are trying to reform it, like the anti-terrorism law. That's one of the constraints, which is a legal constraint. There are administrative constraints. Sometimes journalists are attacked, some journalists are harassed, arrested arbitrarily. That is one of the administrative constraints. And journalists are not well protected. That's the biggest constraint here.
Journalists are operating under serious environment, which is very hostile, which is not friendly, and which is very dangerous at some instances. And some of them are forced to be in exile, some of them are forced to be in Ethiopia, but the situation is very serious. It's a very grave situation.
ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ ያሉ ጋዜጠኞች በኔ እምነት በአንድም ይሁን በሌላ መንገድ ገዢውን ፓርቲ ወይም ኢህአዴግን ታከው ወይም በሱ ጥላ ስር ተጠልለው እስካልሰሩ ድረስ በእስር ቤት ወይም በሞት በር ላይ ሆነው ነው የሚጽፉት። ስለዚህ ይሄ ነው እውነታው፣ ይሄ ነው። በእስር ቤት ወይም በሞት በር ላይ ሆነን ነው እየሰራን ያለነው። ይህች ሀገራችን ናት። ስለዚህ ለሀገር የሚሰማ እንደ ጋዜጠኝነት ብቻ ሳይሆን እንደ ጋዜጠኛ ብቻ ሳይሆን እንደ ዜጋም ይህች ሀገር ሊኖራት ስለሚገባው መልካም አስተዳደር ልትደርስበት የሚገባው ዜጎቿ ሁሉም በአንድ አይነት መንገድ የሚዳኙበት የፍትህ ስርዓት እንዲኖር ከመመኘት አንፃር ትሰራለህ። ነገር ግን እጣፈንታ እንደነገርኩ ወይ እስር ቤት መወርወር ነው አሊያም መገደል ነው።
Many people and organizations around the world have spoken on behalf and in defense of Ethiopian journalists who are imprisoned and related to anti-terrorism law. CNN MultiChoice African Journal Awards independent panel of judges view that multi-award winner journalists like Wibshet Taye and his colleagues Riot Alamu and Iskender Nega should be out of prison and working to build the prosperity and freedom of the new Ethiopia. The family members of the imprisoned journalists forward their opinions on the matter.
እኔ ፈጠረብኝ ነገር ያው ማለት ነው ኮንፊውዝድ የሚያደርግ ነገር ነው። አንደኛ ዓለም አቀፍ እንትኑ ሸልሞታል በሞያው ነው ይገባዋል ትክክለኛ ዋጋ እየከፈለን ያለው ብዬ ነው ማስበው። ለመሸለሙ እኔ ፈጠረብኝ ነገር አንደኛ የሱ ሞራል ከመጠበቅ አንፃር በጣም ነው ደስ ያለኝ። መንግስት ወይ የሚመለከተው አካል መፍትሄ ቢሰጥበት ብዬ ነው ማስበው።
ዋካችሁ የሰው ሰብአዊ መብት ይከበር ነው ማለት ምክንያቱም አጠፉ ተብለው እንኳን ታስረው ያለ መብታቸው አልተከበረም። እነዚህ ሰዎች ቢያንስ ሰብአዊ መብታቸው ቢከበርልን ሕክምና ቢፈቀድላቸው ታስረው ያሉ እንኳን ቤተሰብ እንዳይጎበኛቸው የሚደረገው ነገር ቢቀርና ቤተሰብ ቢጎበኛቸው። ሌላው ደግሞ ለዓለም አቀፍ ድርጅቶች ማስተላለፈው ይሄ ጩኸታቸውን አሁንም ቢቀጥሉበት ይሄን መንግስት በደንብ ተጭነው ቢሰሩ ደስ ይለኛል።
Article 19, based on its mandate, is playing its part for protection of freedom of expression and access to information in Ethiopia.
We need media pluralism and diversity of voices on the media outlets that exist. So we advise and share with governments policy guidelines and legislative guidelines on how to make progressive laws that are in line with international standards that they have signed on to, and international best practice or promising practice, how to move forward. On the other level, we also engage with civil groups in showing them how understanding their rights and responsibilities on freedom of expression is a precursor to them realizing all other rights. That you cannot say you have a right to education if you do not understand that you need to be able to express yourself in a given way. Education would not be valuable. You cannot exercise your freedom of religion if you cannot commune with fellow religious people. So fundamental to exercising all other rights is freedom of expression. So for journalists, we've done a number of things. One is to help them understand the legal framework within which they work, to be able to know what are their rights within law and what are their responsibilities within law. So to be able to exercise their profession legally. We've also been able to help them understand basic security skills that they need.
Two alternatives lie ahead for the future of freedom of speech in the country. At the end of the tunnel awaits a bright glow or a dim light with no value for democracy.
As an activist for freedom of expression, say that government should let us to present what we have, to do what the proper journalism asks us to do, and let the people judge us, not the government. We know that there were highly regarded newspapers with the top circulation numbers, and they're gone. 2 years, 3 years, they're gone. 2 years, 3 years, they're gone. This has been a practice for the last at least 15 years. So we want the government to let us judged by the society.
ጓደኞቼ ጋር መቼ የሆነ መገናኛው እኔ ማለት በጣም ይናፍቁኛል። አስሚ እውነቴን ነው የምነግርህ፣ የእውነቴን ነው። ትንሽ ስሜት አይሆንኩኝ ገባ ይናፍቁኛል በጣም ገባ እና መቼ ነው ከነሱ ጋር የምንገናኘው? መቼ ነው ስለ ድሯችን የምናወራው? መቼ ነው ያንን የፍቅር ጊዜ የምናስታውሰው የሚለው ትንሽ ይናፍቀኛል።
We don't have to only see the freedom of expression separately from other rights, and the rights related things are getting deteriorated in Ethiopia. For example, you can see the anti-terrorism law. The anti-terrorism law directly affected the freedom of expression. Therefore, it's not only about the freedom of expression, it's directly related with the current human rights situation in Ethiopia.
The government should start to give the credit this press, the repressed press that has been so true for the last 20 years should start to give a credit for the press, not repress them, not put them or throw them in the jail for members of the private press. So government should strengthen the private press for the sake of democracy, for the sake of development. So the sole responsibility at this specific time is all on government. So please, the message is that the government please start to consider giving the credits for the repressed society, which is journalists of Ethiopia.
Ba ba